I started there, and then played through elementary and into middle school and into high school. Both baseball and basketball were the two sports that once I tried to play tennis and was terrible. Cross country was.
You didn't like.
No,
you're not going to run.
It
No.
was a punishment.
Yeah, it was.
For fun.
It was.
That was a punishment in basketball practice. So I ended up. I really enjoyed basketball and baseball a lot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of once I got to my freshman year of high school. Those are the two that I really focused on and spent time on. So.
Okay, so then, did you excel in those, and is that what got you the bug to be a coach, or what?
Yeah. So
or just following in your dad's footsteps?
I tell you, my dad actually got out of education when in the early '90s when they were doing a lot of rifts. And,
it was terrible.
It was tough. You never knew if you had a job. And
That's correct.
He went into business for 20, 25 years, and he went back to teaching now. He quit out of business and went back into teaching, but so he kind of got out of coaching there for a little bit. And funny enough, kind of what really I think made me catch the bug for becoming what I would call almost obsessed with sports was when I was in first grade. My sister was in kindergarten, and my sister became best friends with a set of twins whose father was the high school basketball coach at Muncie Burris. His name was Brian Carr. I don't know if that name rings a bell for either of you. He's probably what I would say is the most unknown, underrated basketball player to ever come out of the state of Indiana. He's a guy that he went to the University of Nebraska, 1,000 points. I think at one point, he had 1,000 points, 1,000 assists, and like 600 rebounds or something.
Yeah.
He's in their Hall of Fame. He was the all-time assist leader at the University of Nebraska until Tyrone Lue broke it, who played in the NBA. So, and here's a guy that like most people don't even know. I probably wasn't even an Indiana All-Star, and just had an outstanding career. So an incredible basketball player, but he was the coach at Muncie Burris, and my sister became really good friends with his daughters, and so our parents became really good friends. So then in first grade, he's like, "Hey, you want to be the water boy?"
There you go.
So I was a water boy for the high school basketball team, and they were really good. And so I was sitting on the bench. I got to ride the bus. My dad kept book for the team.
There you go.
And I was the water boy for the team, and I did that all through elementary school, and it just became. It
became the family business.
It did.
Yeah.
And like it's what you did. Like it was Friday night. That's what we were doing. And I would go into summer workouts, and like I don't know. It just clicked with me that I felt different when I was around it.
Yeah.
And I know for those of us that coach, you totally understand what I'm saying when I mean that. Like it's when there are different things now that I've gotten married and I have a kid, and like, but it's one of those things in your life that really makes you feel alive.
Yeah.
And I got that I got it in like first grade, second grade.
And so I'm relating right along with it, because it's Bell Week, and I'm a football guy. What am I going to say? And I was involved there for a little while, but my son went along, and he wanted to go along to some of the games between Wabash and DePaul, and we had JV football games. They never lasted the entire time, by the way. Okay, so a couple of years we did this, 4 JV games, and we never reached the end of the game. They were always called.
Yeah.
Things got a little chippy, and it was really bad. But my son was the water boy.
Yeah.
He was 3rd grade. I'd pick him up from school. We'd head over to the wherever we were going, to Crawfordsville or Greencastle. Picked him up, got him there. Told him, hey, they say words that mom doesn't need to hear you say. Right. All those kinds of things. And he just ate it all up. I mean, that was his thing.
Now he's coaching, right?
Now he's coaching. Yeah. So you put that together. That's what that family life is going to be like all the way through. I mean, my wife used to bring him to games. He would be my high school water boy as well on Friday nights, and she'd bring him. He'd eat. He'd open up a can of SpaghettiOs. Well, everybody thinks that's a bad thing, but as an athlete, it's carbs.
Sure.
And he was a carb loader all the way through. A little kid, he just loved that stuff. But that brings back those memories because your family becomes involved at that point, and then you had that happen for you, and now with your family, you can also see it start to happen with your family as well.
Absolutely. I have a 1.5-year-old, and I take him into morning workouts at 6:30 in the
That's
morning.
it,
He's
yeah.
running around like we're starting early.
Yeah.
And so, so I from a young age, I kind of I became what I would say is almost obsessed with basketball, and specifically high school basketball. I don't know. It's so special in the state of Indiana.
Yeah, it is.
And it just there's a lot of people who aren't from around here that just don't understand like the way that it makes me feel. I can't. There's not many things in my life that can replicate it. And so I played in high school. I played basketball and baseball. I would say I was probably a better baseball player than I was basketball. It doesn't help being 5'8". I mean, it's a little easier to play second base or shortstop than it is to try and defend someone who's 6'8" in the post and they got a foot on you. So I would say I was a very average basketball player and a little bit better baseball player. But I reached there. I tell my high school boys all the time, there's going to reach a point in your life when you're done playing basketball or you're done playing baseball or whatever it is. Some of us are lucky enough that you get to go play in college. Some of us are lucky enough that you get to go play professionally or you get whatever it may be. But at a certain point, you have to figure out when it's over for you. And so, like, for me, I had opportunities to play baseball at some type of a smaller school, whether that be like a Taylor, a Division III school. But it was one of those things that I didn't want to spend a bunch of money to go play baseball for 4 years, right? And so that's when I kind of I made the decision at that point that I was going to go to school and not play sports anymore, and I wanted to stay involved though. I umpired a lot of baseball and I enjoyed it, but then I also started coaching basketball my freshman year of college right away. I was a volunteer assistant at my high school at Muncie Burris for a year, and then from there just kind of kept kind of moving around a little bit and figuring out kind of working under different people, and but that's kind of my background of my playing days and then into coaching.
So who is some of your mentors that's really nursed you along the way besides your father?
Sure. Yeah, I've been really, really blessed just in terms of coaching wise. My high school basketball coach is a guy that I grew up around him. He was almost like a second dad to me. Like I said,
Well, you spend that much time together,
from first grade on, and we were at their house all the time. They were at our house a bunch, and to this day, my parents are still best friends with them. They have Lake Place right next door to one another. They spend summers together up there. I see them every summer a couple of times. So 30 years later, they're still thick as thieves. But he was a huge mentor for me, especially with regards to basketball. I got to see the impact that he made on people. I thought he made a really positive impact on me in my life and with athletics, but more so just like becoming a person and becoming a man of integrity. And I just really I looked back on that. I look back on that time very fondly and decided that it was something, if I could ever provide some of those same lessons or opportunities for young men, that I thought that it would be something that would be a very fulfilling career. I've never been someone that's chased money or chased acclaim I'm pretty easy-going. I'm a pretty simple guy, and so.
So you're telling me it's a calling?
Yeah, I guess maybe calling's the right word, it was just when I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, I wanted to find something that was going to be fulfilling to me, and I was going to go to work every day and want to get to work, and I am very blessed. I've found that.
You got the perfect job.
I do. I do.
You're getting paid to do what you love.
Yep, absolutely.
It's like Larry Bird when he got his first contract. He said, I would have signed anything. I just wanted to play.
It's funny you say that, Tony. When I took the job at Greencastle, I took a pay cut to be the head basketball coach, but I didn't even ask for the salary.
No,
I'm not. I don't care what you pay me. We'll make it work, right?
That's it.
I guess that changes a little bit.
And there's a fit.
Yep.
And there's a fit. And if you know what that fit is for you, with me, I'm turnarounds. I take the worst things I can find. Like if something, it's the weirdest thing. If somebody just looks at me and says, "Okay, so why do you take that job?" And I'm like, "Because it was the worst job, and I thought I was the only person that could turn them around."
Right.
And so I think you find that niche of wherever it is and whatever it is, and then money doesn't become the object.
Sure.
It's your passion.
Yep.
And the more passion you have and the more things that you think and feel about what your ability to change maybe the atmosphere and just how people function within that role.
Yep.
That's what you're really after.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing because that's my big bugaboo about coaches.
Yeah.
And you see, especially in college.
Well,
and in the pros.
We've seen the NCAA football stuff the last 3 weeks. Oh my God. Crazy stuff.
$54 million.
Yeah.
I read today that they offered Brian Kelly like $20 million and then $30 million. He said no to both of them.
Yeah.
If they offered me $2 million, I'll take it.
To walk away.
Yeah, where's the door?
But this is my point. A lot of coaches, they get to a certain level and they're comfortable.
Yeah.
And they found their level of comfort. They found their aspect of football or basketball.
Sure.
And maybe I'm a great offensive coordinator, and then somebody offers me big money, or I seek big money. I want this head coaching job.
Right.
You get there and you fail.
Yeah.
And what do? They fall back to their comfort level and live there.
Yeah.
And to me, you get to that comfort level, and you're making decent money, and you don't have all the pressure and all the hate and discontent. You can stay there and build a resume, a great long-term resume, contribute and build kids, and be comfortable without making that mistake of chasing the money.
Yeah.
I think I think of a quote that I know, Herb, you probably know Mike Meyer very well, but the former Greencastle football coach who passed away tragically a few years ago. But I remember him telling me a few years into my career that his dad would always tell him that the big time is where you're at.
Yes.
Like
right.
You don't have to
be content.
You can make where you're at the big time. Like you don't have to chase it.
And Eddie, to that fact, his dad, Ed.
Yeah.
So I coached with Eddie, and Ed would come in, and he was just the most common sense guy you'd ever meet.
Yep.
But he was a fierce competitor, absolutely fierce in what's going on, and extremely loyal to what's going on. And he had multiple instances where he could have left DePaul and gone somewhere else because he was a baseball coach and a really good one. And had a chance to move up and do all these things, and just the way he treated people and how he handled things allowed everybody to really fall in love with Ed Meyer.
Yep.
I mean, he's a wonderful guy, wonderful guy, and Mike and I were good friends too. Yeah. And so the same way, when I look at different people and how they handle things and what goes on, so. Mike and I used to talk even when he wasn't coaching. We would talk about some different things, and after he passed away, his wife was like, "Yeah, he wanted to talk to you again." I'm like, "Okay." So, we coaching fraternities kind of go along that way too. We talk about the exact same thing. You're in one sport, I'm in another, but it's the exact same things that happen in both sports, and how you deal with kids, how you deal with people, and how you look at your job and your relationship to others.
Yeah. It's spot on, that's for sure.
So what did you do before you came to Greencastle? Where were you?
Yeah. So hitting on some more mentors there. I went to Ball State, and I did my student teaching at a really small school called Blue River Valley. You may have never heard of it, but
oh no way! I know exactly where it was.
Okay,
where it is.
Yeah.
They have, believe it or not, they have pigs out back, and they did it.
I will tell you a story about that. This is when I knew I had arrived somewhere differently. So, first period, I was student teaching. I was student teaching math. I trained. I'm a math teacher. I was a high school math teacher, and we had first period. I cannot make this. You can't make this crap up. Okay, first period, and the passing period, the bell would go off, and it was a extra long passing period, and all of a sudden here comes a custodian into your room, and the custodian came in and swept up underneath the desks of every kid in every classroom because they had been out working on the farm or picking out stalls in the morning, and there was either mud or crap on their feet, and so they did that. It was built into the day to come in and clean up. So that's where I did my student teaching. And then wait till I tell you where I went from there. You're gonna be like, oh, talk about culture shock. But so I went to Blue River, and I was a student teacher, and I coached basketball with a guy by the name of Brian Klein, who was there. Absolutely outstanding high school basketball coach. He's currently the basketball coach at Monroe Central.
Good school.
Yeah, great school.
And he's been successable there too.
He has. Won the sectional last year. May have actually won the regional and made it to the semi-state. I think they did. I can't remember. I did a scout for him. I do that often for if I lose in the state tournament, I'll call a friend and that I saw won a sectional and say, hey, let me take a scout for you for the semi-state game 2 or whatever, so you don't have to worry about it. So. But he was a huge influence on.
You just wanted a free ticket.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So he was a really big influence of mine. Coach Klein was an excellent high school basketball coach. I learned a lot from him, and just the X's and O's. He was I still call him. Like if we're getting ready to face somebody that I need help on, X's and O's wise on scheming, he just has a brilliant basketball mind. And so I should also mention too, there's a guy by the name of Rex Bockert that coached high school basketball with Brian Carr. That he was the longtime high school assistant for me in high school. Brilliant. He's probably the smartest sit down and talk basketball guy that maybe I've ever been around. So he was another huge influence of mine. So from Blue River, I went to Avon. So talk about cultures, talk about difference between Blue River and Avon. I walk into the school, it's got over 3,000 kids, and different level of athlete. It just is. It was. I remember the very first summer practice that I walked into. There was a kid by the name of Brandon Peters. I don't know if you remember Brandon Peters. He was Mr. Football. Went to Michigan. I mean, Jim Harbaugh was in our practices recruiting, but very first practice he did a 360 between the legs, and I was like, man, we're not in Kansas anymore, right? It was just a different level of athlete. So Jason Young was the head coach there. He's now the athletic director at Avon High School. He was a tremendous influence on me. He taught me more in 2 years about how to genuinely run a program. Like I felt like X's and O's wise, I learned a lot from my high school coach and from Coach Klein at Blue River. But like there's so much more that's probably more important than the X's and O's to being a really good high school basketball coach that I didn't know before Avon. Like the running of youth programs, the deciding what you want your focuses as a coach to be. Like that's what I think I have excelled at Greencastle. I've just determined these things that I think are going to make us successful, and I've just gone in 110% on them. And I really learned that at Avon. That's where I've figured that out, and that was through Coach Young and his mentorship. And he's still a guy to this day. I talk to him very often, and another just great mentor for me. Honestly, I wouldn't have gotten the Greencastle job if it wasn't for him. I was maybe interested in being a head basketball coach. I was 24 at the time when I got the Greencastle job. Actually, it was the day after my 25th birthday when they offered me the job. So I was 24 at the time, and Jason sent me a text. He's like, "Hey, what do you think about Greencastle?" And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even know anything about it. I heard of DePaul University because I had some friends.
Where is Greencastle?
I didn't know. I had to look it up. I literally did. And he's like, well, I know the AD. The AD was Greg Hill. He was the Brownsburg athletic director for a while. And so through the relationship between Avon and Brownsburg, Jason knew Greg. And he's like, I know the AD. It's a fantastic gym. Really good community in a college town.
Right.
He goes, I think you'd maybe look into it. And so I applied, and I didn't hear anything for like 2 months.
Right.
And then Greg
thought, I
just
screwed that up.
That's a normal.
I just thought, okay, I'm 24 years old. Greencastle was a 3A school.
Right.
They aren't even gonna. They looked at my application, saw my years of experience, and tossed it out. And Greg called me and asked me to come over for an interview, and I interviewed with him and Russ Hessler. Russ Hessler, the longtime principal, and he was
wrestling
a football
coach.
Wrestling coach.
Yeah, coach against him.
Greencastle, and it was myself, Greg, and Russ, and it felt like a conversation like this. We just talked for an hour and a half, and I truthfully believe had I not had that experience at Avon and that relationship with Jason, I probably never would have ended up at Greencastle. So
hey, we all have people in our lives who's opened the door for us.
Absolutely, yep.
And that's important.
Yeah.
And to not only remember those people, but honor those people by doing the same thing for someone else.
Sure.
That's 1,000%.
Yeah. Just making those goes. I've looked, I try to do a little research on everybody.
Okay.
And when I look at like coaching records, you're just really consistent pegging things right down the line. You're 17, 18, 20. You've got several 20-win seasons. And like you said, you're young with all those things. What kind of thing are you trying? You said when you went to Greencastle, you're looking at building a program that establishes that one or two traits all the way through.
Sure.
All the way through.
Yeah,
what are those one or two traits that you're trying to bring out in all your kids that's been successful for you?
Yeah.
What have they been?
I think as a coach, first off, when I came to Greencastle, the youth programming was basically non-existent. So getting kids in the gym and to fall in love with the game of basketball, I think, is so vitally important. So just youth programming in general, and going all in on that. I would say that almost anybody in Greencastle who has participated in our youth basketball programming over the past 10 to 12 years, if they're very involved at all, knows me personally. I can tell you the names of almost every kid from grades 2 through 12 that are involved in basketball. So for me, that was really, really important, was to just go all in on developing Greencastle kids to be Greencastle basketball players. I want them to fall in love with playing the game of basketball at Greencastle, to come to games in 2nd and 3rd grade like I did growing up, and to be able to walk in McAnally and get that special feeling where it just feels different and they fall in love with it. So, I think that was a big thing for me, and I think that's if anyone looks at the current senior class that we have right now. When I came here, they were in 2nd grade, and so they've truthfully have gone through our youth programming all the way up through high school, and so you're seeing, and they've been a successful class. They're good. They're skilled. They're good young men. So I think that was really important for me, was getting bought in with the youth, and then I think for me, determining what things you truthfully believe help win high school basketball games was the most important part for me. So, do I believe that X's and O's matter? Yes. When I first came here, I was huge on instilling this, a system, a scheme, right? We're going to play all motion offense. We're going to play all man-to-man defense. And we did, and we were really good at it, and we had a lot of success. But what I have found out very quickly is that's like subsection. That's like part 2. Part 1 are these overarching themes of basketball, and it's any sport, and it's different. Different things in different sports win games, but the valuing possessions to me is so important. It is a possession game. I'm a math guy. It is a possession game. The more possessions that you get shot attempts up, the better. And then the more of those possessions that you get shot attempts up, the higher quality the attempts are, the higher odds are that you're gonna score. And so for me, I kind of went all in on really trying to teach the value of taking care of the basketball and searching for great shots. I think my philosophy has maybe changed a little bit over the years. I think, as a team last year, we shot like 94% of our shots were either threes or twos within 5 feet. And so that to me speaks to a team that really understands what is a great shot for them and what's important to them, what's important to their coach, and what's important to them. So,
do you find, and I'm going to just interrupt for a second, I'm sorry.
Fine.
I always found that it's the kids that determine what they're able to do.
Yep.
And then it's your job to put them in the best situation.
1,000%.
So whether you run it or whether you walk it or whether you're running motion or whether you're running flex or whether you're running whatever it is, it fits the kids. It's not necessarily what you like.
Yeah.
It's what's best for them.
Yeah, I've grown.
Have to adapt to what the good Lord gives you.
That's it.
Right. I've grown as a coach in that fact a lot. When I first came in, I was very stubborn, and I think I had to be. I truthfully do.
No, you do.
I was 25 years old. People
Yeah.
don't. I mean, I was only 6 years older than some of my players at the time, right? And I looked as younger than some of my players at the time, right? And so I felt like part of that was I kind of had to do that to establish a program because we didn't have one. If you look back at Greencastle prior to myself getting there, I felt like there just wasn't much of a program in terms of like the fluidity from grades 2 through 12, having this purpose, like knowing what's important to you as a program. I didn't see that when I walked in the door, and so I felt so strongly like I had to set that tone. But I have grown a lot as a coach, I think, in the last 3 to 4 years where I understand that certain teams, I think, win in different ways.
Yeah.
And I did that, I think, more through watching and talking to different coaches. A really good friend of mine is Brian Barber, who was the Danville basketball coach, and him and I talk often. And talking to him about different, I remember one time he told me, he's like, "Well, my team just can't defend with their butts to the baseline." I was like, "What do you mean? They just make them defend with?" And he's like, "No, that's not how they like they just this team is different, and they're better when they're in zone." And all of a sudden, like literally, like 6 months later, I get a team coming up that really don't do a very good job defending with their butts to the baseline. I remember telling him, I'm like, "Hey, you're right. I saw it. Like, you're right. You're absolutely right." So I think learning to adjust to what you have and making the most. And I think that's your job as a coach, right? Like, here are your 6, 8, 10 dudes that you've developed and that you've worked with and that you have relationships with and that you're all in on. And so now your job is to find ways to make them as successful as they can be. And if that means that I've got to change up some things schematically, then I'm obligated to do that. That's my job.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Talking right now with Bryce Rector, the head basketball coach at Greencastle. And we'll be back and talk a little bit more. We'll take a break here. First of all, you're watching Coach's Timeout from Timeout Bar and Grill here in Brazil, Indiana, and we'll be right back.
Carbon Heating and Air Conditioning has been serving the Wabash Valley for over 30 years, and we are a leading Green Pro partner. Cold weather is here. Be sure to have your heating system serviced. We also have rebates available up to $625 on qualifying equipment. You can also get 24 months no interest financing for qualified customers. So if you need a service call or are looking to upgrade your current system, give us a call at 812-448-8387. Carbon Heating and Air Conditioning, where comfort and quality meet.
Fearless Designs is your champion for the finest in laser engraving. Fearless Designs does everything from trophies, hats, key rings, knives, signs, glassware, ceramic mugs, and insulated mugs. Fearless Designs is an Indiana company serving the entire United States. No order is too large and no order is too small. Contact Fearless Designs for all your promotional needs.
There was a time when your local pharmacy defined your community. Before the days of long lines and drive-through national chains, pharmacists gave your health personal attention, and you always met with a familiar face. Back then, your questions were always answered, even when you forgot to ask. In Brazil, Indiana, that friendly local pharmacy has always been Lynn's Pharmacy since 1872. We are a modern pharmacy with the latest technology, still deliver that old-fashioned, friendly personal service today. Experience the tradition with your family at Lynn's Pharmacy in downtown Brazil.
And welcome back to Timeout with Coach. You just saw the Gobbler Games. Tony, give us a kind of a rundown as to what we have going on with Gobbler Games, and then we'll ask Coach Rector a little bit later on here.
Yeah.
Bryce, you'll be able to tell us all the ways that this is going to be great, because it's going to be at Greencastle, but man, this is going to be a great set of basketball games.
It's a great set. We got 7 games in one day, $10. Hello, where can you go to see seven games for $10? Great matchups. We've got Park Heritage against Terre Haute North. We've got Northview and Greencastle. We've got Terre Haute South and Decatur Central.
Okay.
And we've got Cloverdale and North Vermilion. Great game, great matchups. All different classes. It didn't make any difference. We matched up, or I didn't, but Coach Shelsky more than anyone matched up teams according to their abilities and the talent that they have, and to make the best game possible.
Well, and it kind of sets it up as almost a state, like teams that we know are going to be potentially rated in the state or matched up, or teams that are very high caliber are going to play against each other. That gives you an opportunity to see kind of what your team's going to be like.
Yeah, early in the season. Yeah. I mean, this is November 29th. Like I said, it's all day, starts at 10 in the morning. The last game starts at 7. And it's a great opportunity, and not only see great basketball, but it's a great facility. I love that gym and that floor, and we'll talk about that, like you said, later. But $10, everybody ought to be there, November 29th. And a week from today, we have the banquet with all the coaches, athletic directors are there. And we'll be doing interviews with each of the individual coaches there, and we'll have those on the internet, on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter in the coming weeks. And then we'll be, like I said, we'll be broadcasting 4 games. We have the exclusive video rights for the games, and have since they began. And this is the 5th year, and if you've never been there, you're missing out on some great basketball, because like Herb said, there's 3 teams there, that at least 3 that's going to see extended postseason play.
And they have, and it's just the anticipation for several of the teams to get underway and to play really good competition, because we all know how scheduling works. You're kind of locked into conference schedules. You're locked into other things, other kinds of schedules you've had for years, maybe a rivalry here or there. And sometimes you don't get to play the very best teams that you know. It's kind of like looking around and going, who would you like to play?
Yeah. And
we just kind of pick those out, and that kind of sets up our framework for the Gobbler games.
And in all honesty, the Decatur Central's going to be there this year. I mean, that's outside of the Wabash Valley, but there's a lot of teams that wanted in last year we didn't have room for. There's teams that wanted in this year we don't have a spot for you. So it'll, I assume in time it'll grow, but right now the founders are trying to control it so that it can grow and grow prosperously and be the best fit for everybody.
It was a great opportunity to put it at Greencastle, because if you haven't been to McAnally Center and you're a basketball person in Indiana, or you may be in Illinois or somewhere else close by, make the trip. It's well worth it just to go see kind of what's going on there. Great opportunity, and really good teams. You get to see a lot of stuff. We saw tremendous games this last year when it was held. When I say that, North Central Farmersburg came in and just went crazy, and then ended up losing with triple overtime or something. It was absolutely an awesome game. We got to see part of those go on. But basketball starts out when you get those. Sometimes it's regional matchups or different things like you said, bringing in Decatur Central, bringing in some of the teams that normally don't play against each other and get a chance to play. It'll be an awesome.
I love
night.
the David and Goliath aspect.
Yeah.
I still have a problem with class basketball, but it's like getting participation trophy.
Did you notice he's older than I am?
Yes, I'm the old guy.
I don't think I'm really fond of it either. So.
But in the old days, I mean, you had rivalries. It didn't make you'd have a rivalry, like as an example, not real, but be like Terre Haute North having a rivalry with I don't know, Clay City.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Well, it's like this, and coming up, the premier game will be Park Heritage playing Terre Haute North.
Yeah.
I mean, opposite end of the class spectrum, but you're going to see tremendous basketball.
Well,
all day.
And I've seen some of those games from that that area, and yeah, they kind of go at it pretty hard because they really like each other.
Absolutely.
So I saw one of the first ones, and that's exactly what was going on. They had a couple brothers who played, if you remember right, from Terre Haute South, and when the old Rockville High School went against them, it was nothing but a bloodbath. Everybody went at it, and it was a close game, and those things happen. Well, and that's a great opportunity for both teams.
You're talking about that. The last game that we're doing is at Park Heritage, and they're hosting Terre Haute South.
Well, and the reason why is if you haven't been to that gym either, that's one of those gyms you need to go see.
Yeah.
It's at the Rockville Elementary School. It's 6 feet shorter than a regular basketball court.
The old high school.
Yeah, you can. Well, it isn't. That was
it's
at the elementary school.
Okay.
The
Rockadome.
The old Rockadome. See, he even knows the name.
Talk about noise.
Yeah, hey, we're going there this year too. So.
It is loud. You have a really hard time with it. When I first took my son to that one, he was in like the 4th grade. We sat up in the stands, and he looked at his mother, and he said, "This is great. Did you hear that crowd?"
Yeah.
And that's where he wanted to play from then on. It is, classic basketball in Indiana. Great places you can go play, whether it's at the old Knightstown gym, or whether it's at some of the larger gyms that we find different places, Newcastle, or you're talking about Muncie, or I can remember Elkhart had a gym like that where it's just you were in the rafters, literally in the rafters watching basketball. Those are the places when they fill up, they were just awesome.
Yeah.
And you just got to see
people
those
that's
things.
not from Indiana does not understand Hoosier basketball.
No, and if you go to a basketball game in another state, you'll be sadly disappointed because it's like,
Is this the Ox Gym? Walk in.
Yeah, you're right. Ox Gym. That's the name. Everybody says that way. No, it's just kind of that way. Let's kind of transition a little bit. Your basketball team for this year. You said you got some seniors back. You've got some different things going on. What kind of things do you want to teach these guys that are not necessarily basketball things? What kind of is your program designed to do that maybe is not basketball oriented things?
Find characters, find young men.
What do you want to do?
I think there are a couple things that just come to mind off the top of my head. Like our quote for the week. I give a quote of the week every time. And our quote for the week this week was be intentional about being a great teammate. And I talked yesterday. It was first day of tryouts, and I talked to him afterwards, just about how important it is to genuinely support your teammates. And I think this goes far beyond basketball. Do you genuinely support your wife? Are you happy for her success? Not just happy that when she got the job that she or does it make you happy that she is attaining a goal? Does it make you happy that your best friend is able to get that job that he wanted or gets into that school that he wanted? Those things should matter, and you have to be intentional about it, right? It is a skill that is developed, in my opinion, is to learning learning to genuinely care about somebody else. And so, I think that for me, the brotherhood that you had talked about with coaching wise, but the brotherhood of like that you learn while playing a sport, and those characteristics that are built through that, I think are so valuable. Probably my favorite part about basketball, I can leave or take the games. Like they're good, and trust, like I want to win. Trust me, and I'm in a bad mood after we lose, and I'd probably sulk too long after a loss, and I probably don't celebrate enough after a win, and but for me, I think I have developed this understanding that like the season is full of ups and downs, and teaching kids that they have to get up and work hard after being in a down is so valuable in life. You're going to not get the job that you want. You're going to have a relationship that doesn't work out. You're going to have things in your life that don't go your way. And how you respond to those things matters. And so, for me, that's probably my favorite part about high school basketball. I love the practice after a loss. I really do. I really do. Like, I like to figure out.
You get over the hump.
Yeah.
I get it.
I like that. To me, it's one of those things that, like, it's the challenge of figuring out why something didn't work out the way you wanted it to work out, and then determining the steps that it takes to get to where you want to be. Yeah. And instilling that characteristic in our basketball players is something that's so valuable to me. So, I think that's just two examples off the top of my head. Obviously, be a good person, show up on time, all those like those are the buzzwords that I think are kind of easy, but like the bigger picture things, I think there are so many of them too. I could sit here and talk for hours about, and we all could.
Right.
Any of us who are in athletics, we could all talk about what experiences we had that developed these characteristics that made us great husbands, or great dads, or great coaches, or great teachers, or a great doctor, or whatever it is that you are, that you only learn through athletics. So, it's one of my favorite parts of my job is getting to teach the things out other than basketball through basketball.
Yeah.
I think one of the key things is learn to deal with failure. As you're growing up, it's like football. First thing you have to learn is when you get knocked down to get up.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing throughout life as you meet the more personal things, the more non-sport things. You learned in sports to deal with it.
Right.
And it makes you a better person, and it makes you a better friend. It makes you a better employee. It makes you a better workmate.
Right. I personally, this is a critique of the system and a critique of where we're at right now as an education and as a society, but I personally do not think we allow kids to fail.
That's correct.
But and I may be guilty of this when my kid is in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, whatever. But we have too many parents, we have too many teachers, we have too many people in society that think that it's going to tear down a kid for them to fail. And I think sometimes the greatest thing that can happen for a kid, for them to become a strong and resilient adult, is for them to fail as a child. And so, but with that being said, you got to have the right people around them to teach them how to deal with that.
Yeah.
Because it is difficult. If you don't have the right people around you to teach you to deal with failure and to teach you to deal with setbacks,
right,
then I guess maybe that can have a little bit of a negative impact. So I think that job that we have as coaches, maybe the most important job.
But when we look at it, we don't want to give them everything.
No.
We look at society one group to the next, and one of the things we look at with the Greatest Generation, when they were going through, they wanted all their kids to have a better life, and for the most part, they did.
Right.
Okay, and then you look at the next one; they're trying to make their kids have a better life, and for some of them, the better life is, well, I want to make sure they don't fail. I want to make sure that they get everything they want, and they are deprived of nothing. And you and I all know that the best teams tend to have that one failure a quarter or halfway through the season, or even getting towards the end, where they fail, and they fail greatly, and then all of a sudden you rebuild and it's much stronger. It's like going in the weight room.
Yep.
You only get stronger through failure.
Right.
And until you actually experience that, you really don't know what it's like. And that bad taste in your mouth, or that ability to understand you can get through it and you can get better, and you will actually be better because of it. And we've all heard somebody say, well, they needed to fail. Well, I don't know if they needed to fail, but they needed to understand what failure was, to understand they didn't want to taste it again, and that they were going to outwork everybody to get to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember I think it was my second year as a coach at Greencastle. We had a kid by the name of Colin York, who's 1,500 point scorer, had a great high school basketball career. And I think we went down to Owen Valley and just got beat in a game we shouldn't have lost. And I remember telling Doug Greenlee, who's the athletic director at Greencastle High School, Hall of Fame baseball coach, great, just an athletics guy. And I was like, we've lost him. I've lost the team. The season's over. And he's like, you'll be fine. Just keep working. Just keep working. And then I think we made it to the sectional championship that year and lost to a really good Lebanon team that had some great athletes. But I think we won 3 or 4 straight games in a row right after that, made a run to the sectional championship. So it's funny that I've had multiple teams. If you look back at some of our Greencastle teams that have, we've had some 20-win teams that have made it to regionals, and we've a lot of times we've had a slip up at the end of the year that we lose a game that maybe we shouldn't have lost, or I guess I shouldn't say we shouldn't have lost. We lost a game that I thought we had a really good opportunity to win, and we didn't perform to our capabilities. And I think that how those teams responded was, I think.
Now I've got a question along that, because you see that. No, you see that in football and in basketball. It's not unusual.
No.
And what do you, as coaches, what do you attribute that to? Is it fatigue? Mental fatigue? Is it physical fatigue? Is it they get too comfortable?
I don't know how Herb feels, but Tony, I sometimes I just think you lose games.
Yeah.
I really do. I look back at some of these games, we just didn't play well, and the other team played very well. And I just think I think a lot of times as coaches and as
but it's
fans,
not an individual thing. It's the team, the whole unit.
I think a lot of times as coaches and as sports fans, we want an answer when there's not. And all.
Well, I was depending on you. I was depending on you guys to be geniuses and come up with the answer.
Well, I'll tell you what. We all come up with
an answer.
We all come up with an answer because everybody's expecting. When your team expects one, here's what we didn't do. And and you can go, okay, here it is. And and I can look at players, even when I look at basketball guys, I'm like, look, your footwork is terrible. That's why you can't shoot the ball. And they're like, what are you talking about? My footwork works fine. No.
Look at this.
Your feet are not, you're not square to the basket. What do you mean? Well, you can't have both feet on the same line. Your right foot, you're right-handed. Your right foot has to be in front. You have to have this, and you haven't done that. Now go out here and you can get them to change their thought. And it isn't even the change that happens; it's a change in their mind that happens. And once that takes over, the rest of it just kind of is fluid. You look at a team like the Florida Gators, and Tim Tebow with his great speech that they've written on in their stadium about how we're never going to lose again, not under my watch. This is what's going to happen. That rallying cry happens, and it could be one guy that happens with it. It could be multiple guys. When I played in high school, we lost a game in what is now the semi-state game before the state finals. We lost that game by 5 points. And we had a kid drop a touchdown pass with 2 minutes to go. And it was my junior year, and I kid you not. There were guys that we just had a conniption fit on the way home. And when we got there, we didn't leave. We just kept harping at each other. This is what we're going to do. We're not going to back off. So that change in the mind takes place, which unites everybody else into accomplishing a goal. And if you get that, you'll be twice as strong as what you were before that game. Yeah. The issue is, who are you going to have lead? And the only people that can honestly lead are the people who have put in the work prior to that. Because the people that haven't put in any work, oh, I'm going to do this, and no one believes them because they haven't done anything yet. Right. But as soon as you find that leader, the guy, and the leader is not necessarily the guy that's super vocal. He just has to be the guy that outworks everybody. As long as he's out, and he doesn't have to be the greatest player. And we all know that. You know, the guy you put in a basketball game, you're going to stick on that guy like glue. And all of a sudden he does, and everybody's like, whoa. Look how hard he's playing, and it just picks everything up.
I had a coach tell me last year he had the same thing. Great season, and about 4 games from the end of the season, they just fell apart. And I said, what are you doing to fix it? He says, nothing. I said, what do you mean nothing? He says, the last 2 practices, I've let the kids run the practices.
Yeah.
And the next game, they were back to normal.
Right. And
so maybe I need to try that. I'm too much
he did what you're talking about. Yeah. He let the leaders step forward, take control. This is what we need to do. We need to do, and they were on each other to get better.
Remember the statement: you're never as bad as you think you are, and you're never as good as you think you are. And as a coach, the same thing happens. Right. You can overcoach people to the point where they're not going to do anything. Yeah. And sometimes it's just throw the ball out. Okay, you guys look like that. What are you going to look like this week, and see what's going to happen? And all of a sudden, your point guard takes over. He runs the show. He does those kinds of things. Those are the practices they remember, because at that moment they took ownership of their team. Yeah. And once ownership happens, where the kids take ownership, the coach is just there to guide. Yeah. He's not. He coaches, but he's there to guide them in what's going on. And you get a lot more buy-in to what you're doing.
I've always felt like our best teams were ones like that, where I could go to a practice and not say much at all, and the practice flowed without having to.
Well, that's like John Wooden is famous.
Yeah.
Sat there on the sidelines, not doing anything, twisting up a program. He said, yelling at him and talking to him at the game doesn't do anything. He says, if you haven't done it during the week in practice, it doesn't do any good at the game.
Right. Yep.
And he just sat there and was quiet.
You know, one thing I will say with regards to those late season losses or unexpected losses, I have always felt as a coach that sometimes a loss in a close game really makes me laser focus on the things that we're struggling at, or the things that are getting us beat, more so than a win in a close game. Like, for example, if we, oh man, we didn't play very well, but we squeaked by, and you walk in the locker room and you tell you, that's what you got to do. You got to fight through and battle through games that you don't play well in. And then the next day, coming into practice, I don't go home and watch a ton of film. I don't sit down and really harp on the things that we're not doing to our capabilities as much as I do after a loss. After a loss, I'm mad. I sulk on it. I think about it a lot. So there have been times, as a coach, and I think as a player too, that sometimes those losses in games, and although we want to win every game, and I'd love to have a winning record, right? Sometimes those losses do a better job of helping you. If we win a game by 2 points or we lose a game by 2 points, we probably didn't play much different in that game, right? But so for me, when I lose those close games that I felt like we should have won, it makes me focus in on those things that we're not doing well. So, maybe that's
makes us be more critical and us as individuals better, and take the next step to make your team better.
Sure.
Or give your team an opportunity to be better.
So if you find anyone, Tony, that does have the answer to how to avoid those, would you please let me know? Because you watch, we'll probably it'll be like the end of February, and you'll look at a game like Greencastle's won 7 games in a row, and then they just lost a game by 22 tonight. What happened?
Yeah, and you never really know kind of how it's good. And you get to the end of ball games, and the one thing about basketball that used to drive me crazy when I was coaching is you get right to the end of the game, and you've done everything you're supposed to do, and some kid launches one 3-point range, it banks it in, you lose the game, and you're like,
I've had a couple.
I did everything I was supposed to do as a coach. Right. The kids did what they were supposed to do, and we still lost.
That's why we play the game.
because it's like life.
Yeah.
The same things happen.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I did this right. Why don't I have the job, or why don't I have this? You're not guaranteed anything.
Right.
No.
And
You're not going to get everything.
no, and that's why I think high school sports is the greatest teacher of that
Yep.
kind of an aspect of life, because you got to get up the next morning and you got to go at it hard.
The time when you're moldable and when
Yes.
and when you're learning those characteristics that are developed through those experiences, and and this is why I love coaching high school basketball. That's 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, when boys are becoming men and when they are learning those characteristics that make them successful in life. So
Yeah.
So you play at one of my favorite gyms, and it's a legendary. The floor is legendary.
yes.
But you guys have made some changes, so did some few additions
Yeah.
to. We're talking about coming to the Gobbler games. It's not just what it used to be. I mean, they've made it a whole lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I remember when I first got my very first interview at Greencastle, they said, hey, we're going to walk you outside and take you over and take a look at the gym. And I was like, okay, whatever. That's not really important to me. And then I walked in and I was just like speechless for 5 seconds. I couldn't believe it. It's just, and I've been around really good gyms. Like I've been to Marion.
That's an experience,
I've been to Muncie
Marion.
Central. I've been to the NCC. I've been to every school's gym in the NCC, and they're all fantastic. But like Greencastle just feels different, and it shouldn't be in Greencastle.
Right.
Like that's the Muncie Fieldhouse makes sense because there were 100,000 people in Muncie, and it was a large high school. Like a high school of 400 kids should not have a gym like that, but we do, and so we're very blessed. We're very blessed with a superintendent in Jeff Gibney and a school board that has gotten behind him and a community that's gotten behind him into putting massive amounts of money into not just our athletic facilities, but our schools in general. All 5 of our schools in our corporation have been touched over the last 3 years. One of those major renovations was adding 2 auxiliary gyms with all beautiful hardwood.
Not just one, 2.
All beautiful hardwood floors. They're not rubber floors. They're not the stuff that hurts when you dive on it. It's over 5,000 square foot weight room with all top of the line equipment. Like they really went all in and committed to giving our kids and our families and our community what they deserve, and that's a facility that they can walk into and be proud of. So we've got the facilities, we've got everything, and then McAnally obviously is just such a beautiful facility. It is one of the best game day facilities in the state of Indiana. It's gorgeous. There's not a bad seat. You can sit everywhere in that gym, and you can up at the very top's one of my favorite places to sit. Great. It's just a great facility, and we are very excited to. Obviously, we're excited to be able to play there, right?
Yeah.
You want to play there, but what's probably more exciting is just I live in Greencastle. I've made it my home, and it's part of. I feel like it is my community, and it's really cool for our community to get an opportunity to host an event like this where we're going to have people from all over the Wabash Valley coming into it and getting to see. Maybe for the first time, there may be a lot of people that walk in there for the first time, and I hope they get that same feeling that I had when I walked into it for the first time.
So tell us about the legendary floor.
Yeah, maybe I'm lucky because that's part of the reason why Sam Gooch can jump out of the gym, but he dunks it outside of McAnally too. But that floor. So that building was built in 1969. The floor is original to the building. It's from 1969, and my understanding is that when they put it in, that
they put rubber underneath the foundation.
I wish I knew that, but
No, they did.
And the thickness of that floor is special. I was told that when they redid the floor 10 years ago, that when they sanded it down, they replaced the bleachers. They used to be wooden, they replaced them with plastic. Every time they sand down the floor, they take a layer down, and you can see how thick the original floor was under where the bleachers were. And they said that that floor there was only one other gym in the state of Indiana that had a floor of that thickness, and it was Assembly Hall. So I have no idea if that's actually true or not. They could have been completely pulling our leg, right?
Yeah.
But it's a cool floor. It just got refinished. It's beautiful now. It's got a new paint job to it, and a matte finish, which is kind of a cool look to it. And so it's the floor. It does have some different bounce to it that maybe you don't feel normally. I've not run into any of the dead spots. People always ask me like, "Oh, does it still have the dead spot right at the top of the key?" And I'm like, I've never noticed it, and I've been on it for 10 years. But
Everybody talks about how live it is, not how dead it is.
yeah, it is.
But if there's one spot,
Yeah.
if everything's
less.
live, it's a little less.
Yeah.
Everybody's like,
Yeah.
I've never
That spot's
I can tell you,
normal.
We've practiced in there a lot since I've been here, and I've never seen like a ball just fall out of someone's
Right.
hands.
Yeah.
So, but it's a great floor, and just a great facility. So
Well,
it's gonna be fun to see.
The rumor is, guys like you and me can dunk. I mean,
Trust me,
everybody.
I've never been able to dunk in there. Or anywhere.
I prove that white men can't jump, but
Did you say can or can't?
cannot.
Yeah. Okay.
Everybody says basketball players tell me, and if their parents and their families are, it gives you another inch. It gives you another inch and a half. If you could almost dunk, you can dunk there.
Sure.
So that's why I ask you about the
Maybe
floor.
maybe that would be a great question for you next week when you're doing your interviews with coaches. Do you have any kids that are really close to being able to dunk? And then during your broadcast, if you got someone that does, it'd be like, hey,
Well,
I'm thinking.
Well, he's gonna be doing play-by-play by the final 2 games up there. So
I think what you're going to do is it's going to be like Hoosiers, and you're going to get up there and you're going to bring the actual tape measure. And you're going to measure that thing and make sure it's the right height.
And then I've heard that it was 2 inches short.
Yeah,
That
but-
Calvert Cheney measured it and it was
Yeah.
2 inches short.
Yeah, all this-
So, I mean,
well,
there's all kinds of legends.
And that's really fun because those are the things that go around that area. In Putnam County, both those stories have been told a long time about it's 2 inches shorter, or man, they've got some kind of spring underneath and they've got all this rubber stuff underneath it. Everybody hears those stories, and it just adds to the nostalgia of that gym. Where you're looking at it like, this is awesome. They're all looking at it like, man, do you know it is 2 inches shorter? And those stories just permeate about how you play there, and you play better because you can jump higher, and it is the best, and all that stuff, and that's really fun. It is. It's a fun place to play. It's a fun place to watch a game.
I've always felt when you walk in, it's comfortable, it's welcoming, and you can relax and enjoy the game.
Yeah, and
You're lucky.
Built and around, folks. That gym is built and around. You can just see. There's 2 gyms that are built like that. In Indiana that I know. One of them's at Benton Central, and the other one here at Greencastle. But they kind of resemble Mackey Arena in terms of trying to get that round idea going at the old barn, the big barn. But it makes it for great nostalgia in what's going on. Anybody who's played there will always tell a story about what's going on. That makes it even more fun.
And the first thing they always say, not about playing in the gym, but the first thing they always say, that floor. Yeah, it's so much fun. It is, and I'll tell you what, it's been fun. Question, last one on what's going on. Tell us about your family. Tell us about life. What life is like for you there in Greencastle. I know you enjoy Greencastle. Or you wouldn't say the things you've been saying today unless you really enjoy what you're doing and where you are. So
it's a great place to live. It's a great place to work. A great place to raise a family. My wife Tess and I have been married for 2.5 years now, I think. We've got a 1.5 or a.
He thinks
He's in trouble. I caught that too. I think.
Well, you know what? She'd probably say I think.
38 years, honey. 38. That's where we are. Just thought I'd let you know.
Hey,
I know mine. I'm just telling
It's a
you.
lesson. 2.5 years, I haven't gotten that far yet. My wife would probably say the same thing though, because when you have a 1.5-year-old, it's just like
Yeah, totally different.
The months just all blend together.
Yeah,
I don't. They kind of run all together. So our son Henry, he's a year and a half. He's all over the place right now. So
Has he said his first words?
yeah, he says, "Mama, Dad, dog, ball, book." So
There you go. Education and sports.
That's right.
First, there
First
you go.
words for mine was ball.
Yeah,
That was the first one.
That might have been Henry's first word,
Yeah.
actually. Ball
Yeah.
and dog. 'Cause
Yeah.
the dogs will bring him a ball, and
That's it.
he likes to throw it. I think he's left-handed, so
That-
I want him to be a golfer, but he may have to pitch if he's left-handed. So
That's a long career.
yeah, that's right.
It works.
No, but we live in Greencastle. My wife was born and raised there. And she had moved away, and then.
You drug her back.
Yeah, I did. She worked at the middle school where we met through working at the middle school together, and she was living in Plainfield at the time, and then drove back and ended up coming back. So we live right there in Greencastle in town, and it's definitely, it has become home for us. We love the community, and we love the school, and we stay very busy. I'm the athletic director at the middle school, so I have home events all the time.
Yeah.
And
Double your business.
Yes, between
you
that
thought,
and
you thought you were
basketball,
busy with basketball, and now here you are responsible for everything at the middle school.
I found a very special wife because she never complains at all about having to. She spends half the year as a single mom, I feel like.
Yeah, boy, you ought to talk to her friends and find out what she's saying when you're not around.
That's right. Maybe give me 38 years and she'll just tell me. She doesn't tell her friends,
That's
right?
it.
Yeah.
But you all coaches know if you get a coach's wife, they're special people. The athletic director at the middle school, and really I love my day job there too, and we love the school and the community, and very, very proud to be the basketball coach at Greencastle High School. I'm very thankful. There are 375, 400 people in the state of Indiana that have the opportunity that I have. So I don't take it lightly. I feel that it's a very important job in our community and in our school corporation, and I wake up just about daily being thankful that I'm given that opportunity, because it is something that is an opportunity that I feel very lucky to have. So, but no, I feel very thankful to come on this program too with you guys, and I've really thoroughly enjoyed my time. So.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, great having you again. Bryce Rector, the head basketball coach at Greencastle High School, and Tony, again, let's pull a plug. We got a lot of stuff going on this week. Saturday, we have the championship game of the Mid-States Mid-States Sprint Football Championship, and it's Rose-Hulman against
Calumet.
And Calumet and Rose-Hulman have met for four straight years. And
Calumet's 6-1, and St. Mary's is 7-0. It's going to be a fast game and a hard-hitting game.
And when you say that, this will be the last sprint football game for St. Mary of the Woods.
They're moving up NAIA next year, a giant step forward. It was an era for St. Mary's. They've only played football for 4 years. The first year, they came in, dominated the league, and won the championship. The second and third year, they came in, they lost the championship game, came in second, which is, you always want to win the last one, but I mean, to get that far. And then this year, they're dominating it again, and we're hoping they win, go out on a win, and hate to see them leave sprint football, but they're going to the next level. It's a great addition and a great step forward for St. Mary of the Woods, and a great opportunity for some area ball players to get additional opportunities to advance and move on with an education and a sport that they love.
And I know they've offered well over 150 kids the opportunity to come play there. So that's increased the ability for players in the Wabash Valley to have a chance to play somewhere.
And we do things other than we do basketball, men and women's basketball. We do men and women's volleyball. We do softball. We've done soccer. We do it all.
All kinds of different things there.
Yeah.
But St. Mary of the Woods, again, game at 3 o'clock this Saturday. And then don't forget the Gobbler games, November 29th. That's the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Full day of ball games at Greencastle High School, where you get to see all kinds of teams from the Wabash Valley area and get to see them really in their first, when I say this, major spotlight of this basketball season. Everybody's getting ready. The girls' seasons are all underway, all the way around us in what's going on. And, I keep thinking we've got some girls teams that are pretty solid in our area as well. So make sure you get a chance to go see some of those high school teams play. I know Coach Rector would like to have you come see a Greencastle game or two and see what his team is, and I know we'll be looking forward as well.
He's got a great game. He and Northview will be going to be bumping heads on the 29th, and that's going to be a great game.
Now, I really should have asked the last question.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm ready.
Okay.
Monon. The Monon Conference. You're in a new conference.
Yeah.
Totally different for you than what you've been in before.
Yeah.
I know you're excited about that. Give me just a 30-second idea of what you think about the conference and what you're looking at right now.
I just really feel that it's an outstanding conference. All of our schools are very like schools, very like communities, very like enrollments that all have the same sports. And so, it's comparatively, the WIC was great. Our time in the WIC was great, but the trips are a little bit shorter. The schools are more similar in terms of their size and their communities, and it's going to be very, very competitive in every sport. Football is a little out of hand this year.
It's different.
Cascade was really, really good this year.
Yeah.
But traditionally, looking over the past 15 to 20 years, I think every sport, it's going to be a toss-up. There's going to be 3 or 4 teams every year that can win it in almost every sport. So it should be a great conference. Really looking forward to it.
Well, and with that, we're going to say so long this evening. Again, check us out on November the 29th as we'll have the Gobbler games here on Indiana Sports Network. We're happy that you've joined us again here on Indiana Sports Network for Timeout with Coach, and we'll be back in a couple weeks with another edition of Timeout with Coach.
At Lynn's Pharmacy, we're more than just your pharmacist. We're your neighbors.
Our kids go to the same schools.
We eat at the same restaurants.
We sit next to you in church.
When I listen to a symptom.
When I fill a prescription.
When I offer advice, I'm not just helping a customer. I'm helping my neighbor and a friend. My name is Lynn Hofstadter, and I'm the proud owner of Lynn's Pharmacy, a modern pharmacy with old-fashioned values and personal service dedicated to keeping you, your family, and our community healthy since 1872.
Here at Lynn's Pharmacy, downtown Brazil.
Carbon Heating and Air Conditioning has been serving the Wabash Valley for over 30 years, and we are a leading Green Pro partner. Cold weather is here. Be sure to have your heating system serviced. We also have rebates available up to $625 on qualifying equipment. You can also get 24 months no interest financing for qualified customers. So if you need a service call or are looking to upgrade your current system, give us a call at 812-448-8387. Carbon Heating and Air Conditioning, where comfort and quality meet.
Fearless Designs is your champion for the finest in laser engraving. Fearless Designs does everything from trophies, hats, key rings, knives, signs, glassware, ceramic mugs, and insulated mugs. Fearless Designs is an Indiana company serving the entire United States. No order is too large and no order is too small. Contact Fearless Designs for all your promotional needs.
Indiana Sports Network cups given to guests are provided by Fearless Designs.